Millennials grew up with artists who were our soundtrack. It was like our musical happy place. Nelly, Snoop Dogg, Gwen Stefani, they weren't just celebrities, but they were our people when we were growing up. They told our stories, reflected our rebelliousness, and gave sound and meaning to things that we weren't able to articulate yet. But now, as adults, we're watching those same artists pivot in a way that almost feels kind of jarring.
Hey everyone, I just got my ashes and I'm ready for Lent. It's going to be the most transformative Lent of our lives. Check it out. God bless.
He's the president of the United States. He's not the candidate for the United States. He's the president. It is an honor for me to perform for the president of the United States, regardless of who is in office.
He performed at the Crypto Ball as part of inauguration weekend for Donald J. Trump. Someone snapped a pic and put it on Twitter as well.
My mother say, Rose, man, you playing to win tonight, man. You sharp as a mosquito's needle. What's going on? That's that crypto, see? They let a real crip up in the crypto ball.
And it's understandable that some people have questions. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Antoinette Chanel and welcome to my channel. Why didn't Nelly see a problem with performing at Donald Trump's inauguration? Why is Gwen Stefani suddenly selling Bibles and cosplaying as a Christian trad wife? Why was Snoop at the inauguration? Why did Brian McKnight start alienating his black children and therefore alienating a large part of his fan base? And how did Joe Rogan, once a liberal-ish stoner comic, become the darling of right-wing extremism? What is happening here? And maybe more importantly, what does all of this say about us? When you grow up with an artist, it's easy to feel like you know them. Like there's this unspoken agreement where I give you my time, my money, my viewership, my loyalty, and then you, in return, give me something that I can feel good consuming, whether it's watching or listening to or reading, that lost art that people don't really do anymore. But artists don't owe us that forever. Nelly might feel now that he has more in common with Donald Trump than he does with the people who were dancing to Hot in Her in their middle school auditorium back in the day. For him, this is just a business deal. Same for Snoop Dogg. And maybe that's part of the lesson, that these people were never really our people. They were always individuals navigating an industry that was just as political and transactional as it's ever been. The real shock isn't that they've changed, it's that we believed that they wouldn't. Pivoting isn't just normal in celebrity culture, but it's necessary. Most celebrities pay teams of strategists thousands of dollars monthly in order to keep them relevant and keep their branding relevant. Gwen Stefani pivoted from grungy rebel to Christian wife, not because she's a hypocrite necessarily, but because it works for her new audience and style. Joe Rogan doesn't care about the millennials who have grown up and grown disillusioned, because he's locked in on the younger, more polarizing Gen Z generation, because that's where the money flows. You've got to tap into the younger generation if you want your brand or your product or your service to survive. So here the question isn't so much about why did they change, it's more about why are we surprised? Here's the third hard truth. Artists are not growing with us. They're growing for themselves and their bank accounts. Millennials are now in their 30s and 40s and are starting to realize that the people that we idolized as we were growing up and as we were young people, they are not cultural anchors or spiritual guides in any way. They're employees in an entertainment machine that spits out whatever it can sell. And maybe part of our discomfort is that we're seeing some of these people lean into ideologies that we had previously decided were outdated or harmful. So for example, Brian McKnight singing to and fawning over his newborn baby with his most recent wife, while also publicly disowning his other children that he insists were created out of sin. So, you know, we grew up knowing that that's probably a no-no, but now we're seeing somebody who we thought grew up with us do this very awful thing to his children, and it sort of leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. Or Gwen Stefani going from feminist icon to trad wife light. Or Nelly, once considered a streetwise voice for the urban Midwest, who is now cozying up to a known felon for an inauguration gig. Where does this all leave us? I think maybe it's time that we stop expecting celebrities and famous notable people to have the same ideologies and outlook and perspective that we have. That's naive. I think we also need to stop expecting people to just stay frozen in time and never change, never evolve, never grow. People change, audiences change. Sometimes the best thing for us to do is let go of some of the nostalgia, because that was then and this is now. And decide for yourself, now in this moment, do I still want to support this person? Do I still want to show public loyalty to this person? Or do I want to stay trapped holding on to a version of this person that no longer exists because it was something constructed in the past and we've moved forward? As a member of the audience, you have permission to outgrow that artist or that talent or that, you know, celebrity, whoever they may be. You have the permission to outgrow that too. And I think that's where a lot of millennials are at right now, is that we've outgrown certain culture, we've outgrown certain trends, and that's okay. But I think it's also realizing that these personalities, these celebrities, they outgrew us long ago. Those are my thoughts. Friends, thank you so much for joining me for another video. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Have you noticed that there's been an audience shift with an artist or an actress or some celebrity that you were once very fond of? How did you take it? How are you responding to it? I would love to hear about it. Also, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps me with telling YouTube that I'm doing good things over here. If you would like to, you can follow me on Instagram at the handle that's on your screen right there. I love to post over there about what I do for work, about how I'm beating the heat this summer, all of that fun stuff, so you can follow me there. Otherwise, my friends, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for making it through the whole video if you're still watching, and I will catch up with you in the next one. Take care.